You're listening to iFanboy Pick Week episode 995. My name is Connor Kilpatrick, and I'm here with Josh Flanagan.
Hello.
It's funny to look at.
I'm going
to
to do
the
this like an
camera.
old newscaster. Hello.
So looking at the camera, I can't see the script, and so I'm always like, I think that's the number, and then I just go, hold on tight. It is the number. Welcome to iFanboy 2025. It's our 20th year of doing this show, our 25th year of doing iFanboy, and that means every week for 25 years, one of us has picked the book they like the best. From their stack of comics, we call that book the pick of the week. Talk about that book, other books of the week, the Patron Pick, listener mail. We have a good time. It's fun. It's fun for us. At the end of the day, that's all that matters. I mean, we're the ones doing
it. It's the only thing.
We're the ones
Have
doing
fun.
it. Here's your spoiler warning. Exercise some caution. Josh, you had the pick this week of a week of many books. Not a ton, but many books.
Yeah, I get this feeling that I'm not reading enough comics anymore because you have more than me, but that's because you can't let go.
Well, that's what I like. I like them. I like characters.
Sure. So the pick of the week is Good is Dead, #1 from Image Comics. This is from indie veterans David Lapham and Maria Lapham. I think Maria Lapham was his co-writer for a long time and didn't get any credit. We were just talking about David Lapham, but she is the co-writer on this. D. Cuniff does the color, and then David Lapham does everything else. He co-writes it, he drew it, he lettered it, which I gotta respect. You gotta respect it.
He's been doing it a long time. I mean, he's been doing these kind of books the entire time we've been doing iFanboy, and I kind of forgotten about it. There was a while where he had books coming out all the time.
Yeah, it's been a little while, and it's sort of like his signature series was Stray Bullets, which was coming out for a long time in the 90s and early 2000s. And I never caught into it. It was a little grim, I think. It's just like, these are the awful things in life, and here's crime and death and murder. And I will say, as a less sophisticated reader at the time, maybe there was something I missed, or maybe it just wasn't, whatever it was, just wasn't for me. But at this point, when a guy like that comes out with a new book, you got to give him the benefit of the doubt. You got to go in there. And so I thought, well, I'm going to try this book and see what it's like. And it was a good week, by the way. Like, I read, there was other books. Like, there were other books that could have been pick of the week. In fact, I almost forgot I had made up my mind, and then I went to go do it, and I wrote another one, and I was like, oh wait, no, wait, that's not it. It's close.
At the end of the day, it's whatever you write in, because then it goes into stone, and then it's the pick.
Yeah, it's fine. No, but there's no qualifications to this. So what we have here is the story of the town of Port Linden, and there's a cop, and basically you find out that there's a lot that happened here. And one of the reasons this is the pick is that at a certain point they'd introduced several characters, and then I flipped the page and they introduced some other characters, and I went, oh God, you can't do this. And then as I got through it, I went, actually, I had no trouble following that. Okay. And all of those characters were, did you read this?
No.
Okay.
I like you. I tried all those books, Murder Me Dead. He did a bunch of mainstream stuff. I read all the, I've never liked anything he's written. Nothing good, nothing against him. I've never enjoyed any of it. So I did not.
But like, no superheroes. This is a straight up cop in a town story. But as I went through it, I went, actually, I know who everyone is. I followed this completely. I wasn't lost, which happens a lot, especially with normal people, even if somebody's really good at it. But as I went through, and there was a lot of moving pieces, and I just thought it was handled pretty elegantly. This comes in at 42 pages, just for the record. For an issue #1. Okay, I'm going to try to explain this, but as I started to before, I went, oh, this is a little convoluted. So hopefully this makes some sense. The town of Port Linden is an island, and it was just a nowheresville. But then during Prohibition, this family who is, I forget the name of them, I'll get to it. There's basically the Valade, the Valade, the Valades or Valades. They were a bootlegging family, and they built a bridge to connect this island to the mainland. And so the idea is that, like, they were a rough criminal family, but they also made the town sustainable and possible. And so the birth of sort of this great little place to live is because of this criminal family, who of course is no longer involved in crime,
Sure.
air quotes. And then
They've
the
gone
main
legit.
character, the main character here is the sheriff, who is a Calhoun, and it pretty much seems as if there is one of those old-fashioned feuds between the Valads and the Calhouns. Like, he's like, "You did it." She's like, "No Calhoun's ever gonna." It's just like that kind of thing. So the overarching story here is that they're building a new bridge, and this is going to cause the Valade family to lose their grip on the town and their economic prosperity as such. And there's the sheriff, and he's the good guy who's got to do what's right. He's the guy from That Texas Blood, same kind of dude. You know what I mean? And there's this really neat device that, and I actually had to go back. You notice that he's coughing through the whole thing. And I was like, wait, when did he start coughing? And like, not the first scene he's in, but the next one, little cough. As you keep going, it's more and more coughs. And then he kind of passes out and bleeds out of his mouth. And he wakes up in the hospital, and they're like, "You were poisoned." And he was like, "Well, I don't have time for this. How long do I have?" And he's like, "A week." So it's just like the Tom King book that we just did with Greg Smallwood on art, which is called Human Target.
Yeah.
It's a little like that, and he wants to take down the Valade family in the offing. Now, the other thing that happens is, I'm giving this away because I don't think you're gonna read it if you haven't, and if I haven't convinced you. So if you were like, "Wow, this sounds good," stop here, skip to the next thing. But another thing that really put this over the top is that we go to the ribbon cutting of the new bridge, right? And just as it's about to happen, the Miss Port Linden cuts the ribbon, the marching band goes up, guy starts coughing. It's a great like montage thing done in comic book page style, as you can see here. And then see his coughing gets bigger, the red, and then all the cables start snapping on the bridge, and it comes down, killing hundreds.
Oh wow.
And like there's a shot, like it's really terrible and sad, and there's just all of these different things swirling around. It's a straight up crime book. There is no werewolf or aliens or anything like that. And I really thought it was exceptionally well done, and I was rapt. And when I got to the end of it, I was like, "Whoa, what's next?" I was totally into it, just as if I was reading a crime novel. I just thought, and it was really well done.
It's funny you said there were so many characters, because if I look at the cover, I see like 100 people. It's a lot of people on the cover.
There's a lot of people who we've had to get to know, but it worked. He did it, and I don't know what the secret sauce is.
About 20 people I'm counting on there.
Yeah, and I can tell you who most of them are. Having like, there's the sheriff, the matriarch of the Valade family is the woman with the cigarette. The short-haired lady with the gun is his like off the grid lunatic sister. There's a lady like a deputy sheriff who's just come back from somewhere else, and it turns out she's dating somebody she shouldn't be dating. It's all of this stuff swirling around, but it worked. It really hooked me, and I was surprised by how much I enjoyed it at the end. And I was impressed by it.
Well, I know it's been a long time, but would you say tonally because his books were so bleak and sort of nihilistic, would you say the tone's different for this one? It's more of a more of a what? It's less of a.
It's not super bleak, because it is like the bad guys are bad, but the good guy's good, and it takes place in this nice place. It's a crime story,
Sure.
a small town crime story, but it isn't like, so far, it's not just like everyone's going to die and life's terrible and this is awful.
Right.
Which is what a lot of those other books felt like.
They were pretty depressing.
Yeah. And it's very like me to be like, I can't take this. But if you are also like, no, this is too much, then I know that that's something. But I'm telling you, I think you should read this. I think you will enjoy it. And I think you will be impressed by it. It's not, I don't know, they mature, they have different interests, they want to do something else, but there's humor in here. It's good.
Well, I'm glad.
The colors really help. Like, maybe the colors, Decon is a pro. Actually, the color
It's
reading is
interesting
great.
about you mentioned the coughing, because it's just not something, we cough throughout the day, human beings, but we don't. It's not portrayed in comics, because why would you? It's a waste of. Why would you do it? But so therefore, it's like sneezing. Like if a character coughs or sneezes or something, then something is up, because there's no reason for it. There's no
Well, it
reason to do
starts
it.
and it starts really subtly, and then it keeps growing, and then when that bridge starts going down and everything, like like coughing is going across, and it's Kaff, and it's always in red, so it's kind of hard not to miss. Now, like I said, Lapham did the lettering on this, and so it's part of the design. It goes across everything, and when it stops, it's because he passed out. And it's just, it's like a telltale heart thing.
Right.
And we don't have any idea who poisoned him, and I'm sure it's not going to be what it seems, but he was not, at the beginning of it, he was not calm. I don't know. It like, I had to go back, and I sort of admired the craft, how they handled it. And then he goes out and he's like, well, I got to go back to work. He's got a bag of painkillers and he's coughing a bit, and then it gets worse again. And it's good. And he's all sweaty through the whole thing because he's dying.
What happened?
Yep.
There was a lot of books I enjoyed this week, but my pick probably would have been the Batman Second Night Book one, which was the sequel to the Batman. I don't remember if it had a subtitle, the first volume, but that book I think had a couple of picks of the week out of us.
This was right behind my pick.
This is the it's not Elseworlds somehow. I don't understand the publishing book. It's a Black Label. I know, but like you think everything would be Elseworlds now because they brought the label back, but whatever, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but these ones is more square what the other ones got.
So this is an out of continuity story from Dan Jurgens and Mike Perkins that features Batman in his original time, meaning he was created in 1939 originally in our world, and so that's when these books take place. The first one took place in 39. I think this one still takes place in 39, right? Because that's when they invaded Poland. Although in this world, the Russians have sided with the Nazis, which is an interesting.
Well, there was the tripartite pact, which then the Germans broke. So at one point they were sided with them until
but here they invade Poland and they're sided, and they join forces with the Nazis. So that's an interesting twist. Anyway, the first volume was great. It was about this movie being shot and this guy who had created these monsters, not like monsters, but like overgrown people, and they were killing people in Gotham. And here, it's sometime later, but doesn't seem like a whole lot of time later, because the movie they shot is premiering, so it's no more than a year later. And Batman is still kind of a urban legend in the city, and it's just basically a period piece taking place in 39, which is just so imaginative, features awesome and weird and appropriate art from Mike Perkins.
Oh my God, it was. I like Mike Perkins, but man,
I do too.
This is like, he is nailing this.
Yeah.
Just him and Mike Spicer with a sort of a little bit of oversaturated colors. It's very purpley and yellowy. And there's sort of like, it's very heavy on light, like the things that are in the light really stand out. And everything's just a little, it kind of looks like like comics from that era, but done really good. You know what I mean? Like the drawings remind me.
It's more modern, but
yeah,
Mike Perkins has just this weird style where everything's a little off. Like the characters' body languages are strange, but it really works in this setting where everything's mostly realistic. And in this one, we've got this guy who's killing people. He's teaming up with the Scarecrow. But also,
and that's not Hooded Justice from Watchmen. So we're clear.
Maybe
because
and much like the Batman, the other one that's happening right now, the Gotham by Gaslight sequel. This second volume is expanding the world. So Lois Lane has appeared to cover the Batman story. There's a Haley Circus flying Grayson's poster in the background in one panel.
I caught that.
So we'll see how far out Jurgens takes this. But is there a Superman? Because there's a Lois. So we'll find out. But right now she's on the case, and I just think this is got such great imagination, and it's such a great and fun period piece. These characters, they were created in this time, right? This is what it would have felt like to read a Batman comic in 1939, right? Like, this is the world. This is more realistic because the comics back then were more for children. But it kind of feels like this is appropriate for these characters because this is when they were created. And so Batman's costume is very much like the original costume. And I just think this is wonderful. It's an entire package, as you said, from the colors to Mike Spicer and Simon Boland's letters.
It was
wonderful. I mean, look at the colors on the behind Batman on this page. Where he's got the fire behind him. It's just wonderful.
I mean, this is another one where it was extra long, and I did not want it to end. I was just, I was really into this world, and like you said, there could be a Superman, but so far there's no superpowers. We've got a bad guy. We've got Scarecrow, but he's got his fear gas.
Here's and this is a spoiler, so if you haven't read this, skip this part. The cliffhanger is that the car that Julie Madison and Lois Lane goes over a cliff, and Batman is nowhere near this scene. So either they're dead, or a man in a suit's going to come save that car. Because I don't know how else they're gonna do it.
You're right. But I just took that as a straight up cliffhanger, and I guess we'll tune in next bad time.
I mean, we could maybe they don't die. Those cars are made of steel, but
there's no crash protection, and they they definitely don't have seatbelts on.
They go through that windshield. So I don't know. I'd be fine with Superman showing up because there's no reason. Nothing here says there aren't superpowers. It's just it's just early days of the DC universe in this world set in the 30s. I'm just glad that the first volume, I guess, did well enough because here we are with a sequel, and we loved that first book so much, and I'm just happy there's a second.
And I thought this was a better first issue than that other one was. I mean, maybe because we knew a little something about what was going on.
It's more lived-in world now.
Yeah, but this is sort of like that. And I didn't quite remember all the bits, and so when she showed up, I didn't remember, but then I was like, oh, she knows who he is. Right, I remember her. The scene, there's some great scenes in here. The scene where Gordon gets knocked off with a noose around his neck, and Batman saves him, but it's still very fraught because of this. Again, it's black. You don't know what's going to happen. Like,
right, anything can happen.
They could kill him. It's that's a thing. And of course, the other thing that was in this that reminded us of Bruce's rabbi friend who helped save his life last time was a scene that I have never seen in my entire life of reading Batman comics, which was, don't you sneak up on me. It's disrespectful. It's very rude. And Batman's like, you're very right. I'm sorry, sir.
He also scared his wife. He's like, you scared my wife. You're being an asshole. And goes, yep, you're right. Sorry. So
I just there was, but I mean, it's one of those things like Batman should be very polite, and he's just immediately like, you're correct, sir. I'm so sorry. I didn't know, and he means it. And I really enjoyed that. And like this rabbi character, this is a voice that you will recognize from many forms of storytelling or your in-laws, depending on who you are. But it was a very different, for a book, DC Comics used Batman, Superman. These books are so steeped in Jewish history. They were done by Jewish characters, but
Jewish creators,
creators, but but they were pretty whitewashed for the idea of like making the
they were waspified. All the characters were
everybody was, and because they didn't want to be like, I don't want to read a book about.
They were assimilated. They also wanted to assimilate themselves, and so that was the
absolutely.
Assimilate into.
But putting this back in it in a very objective way fits really well, and it's interesting because this guy would be part of this culture in this world.
Well, at some point later on, they made Martha Jewish, so that would make Bruce Jewish. I don't know how canon that is, because again, you're talking about a super blue blood wasp family, but you could always have somebody marry in. But I will allow for the cliffhanger that because they had fear gas shot in the car. I would allow that maybe they're imagining going over the cliff. I will allow that for an option as well.
That would be lame.
Interesting in this book also, no Alfred. I've forgotten. He has no staff.
She mentions.
Well, Gordon mentions. He's like, don't you have a butler? Or someone mentions, don't you have a butler or a chef or a chauffeur? He's like, nah, I don't need any of that stuff. First of all, selfish. It's a depression. People need jobs.
Right.
But also,
I
know,
think
for
I thought she was alluding to the fact that there was an Alfred, but he did everything.
did he die in the
And
first book? I don't remember.
I don't remember.
He just there's no.
There's so many different Batman and Alfred versions that I have read over the last year. It's not even funny. Like it's way too many. I've one complaint and one funny thing. There's swearing
Yeah.
at the beginning, and it's out of place, and it took me out of it. It didn't need
you
to
don't
be
need
there
it.
because when you read one of these comics, like because of what the comics we've been reading forever, if somebody swears, it like sticks out, and so. And also, it just doesn't need to be in this book. It doesn't make it more adult. It doesn't whatever. It just stood out, and it was just like once, and it was.
I think they were two in the whole book, and it was
yeah. And I just and again, like I'm not being moralistic. I just like narratively, it was jarring. It didn't need to be there. Second of all, he goes to get his Batman suit on, and
I love that page so much.
Does he put his suit on a little mannequin? And doesn't that waste a lot of time?
He's very fastidious.
It's on a fitted mannequin and standing up. That's not.
He has to see how it drapes, and how else can you see how it drapes if you don't put it on a mannequin?
That's fine. You don't store it like that.
This is why also, you can't have an Alfred because he's not very. There's not a lot of secrecy in the place.
He doesn't even have much room to. If he's trying to take
there's
that,
no
thing
room
off,
to change. There's no room to change there.
He's got to undress the dummy, and the dummy's like not standing like a dummy. He's standing in a dramatic pose in the middle of a walkway.
At the first glance, I thought it was a person, and I was like, "What?" And then it's oh no! And why would the dummy not be facing the door?
Yeah,
right.
I get it. Like you said, I love this shot, and look at the color
it's a great page.
and the sort of mist swirling around it. That yellow. It's not supposed to be smoke, I guess, but like it's curling around his
could be steam
his cape, I guess. Yeah. And look at like the door. Like
it's all wonderful. This is the best Mike Perkins. Whatever Mike Perkins is dialed into this story because the last volume was awesome too.
Like the little board behind. Like I'm making fun of that dummy thing because we can and it's there. But look at the little board with the Da Vinci Batcopter, but then all these little like paper clipped pictures of suspects or whoever.
Yeah,
it's great. This
will allow me very quickly to do my latest little Batman rant, which is we've lost the thread on the Batarang. So. In the back of this drawing, I'm just going to zoom in here so you can see, is the Batarang, the traditional Batarang.
Yes.
Named because it is a boomerang shape.
Yes.
Throws it, comes back to him. The Batarang these days is a little shuriken. It's a throwing star. Like even if it was Batman #1, one of the comics he pulled a Batarang on. It's just a throwing star now. It's no longer a thing he throws to knock a guy out and comes back to him, or he uses to swing on.
It's whatever they need it to be, so it doesn't mean anything.
The Batarang, specifically a boomerang with bat scallops on the bottom. Now it's a fucking throwing star. It's just we've lost the thread on what a boomerang Batarang is.
I couldn't tell you when the last time, or if ever, I have seen Batman throw a thing and then catch it on the return.
Welcome to
I don't know if I've ever seen
Welcome to my brain.
Yeah,
this is an extra special look
into my brain. You should probably let that go.
I'm going to write a letter.
It's going to drive you mad.
I'm going to write a letter while we take a break, and we'll be right back in a second.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so now let's talk about another Batman book, Batman Superman World's Finest, number 43. Mercifully, the final issue of the Bizarro story. When I saw the cover, I had forgotten that the story wasn't over, and I saw Bizarro, and I went, oh, fuck.
But
it was good, but I just went, oh, fuck.
This is the best Bizarro story I've ever read. I was 100% into it. It was a great ending. The concept that, and this is obviously like a metaphor for neurodiversity or autism or something like that, where it's, yeah, I know this is weird to you, but this is how I am, and this is how I feel comfortable and want to be.
Right.
Because there is that one last question in the end, like, well, do you sure you want to go back to this? And even like, and then what got me, this is the best line in the entire thing, was, well, why would you want to go back to that? And he's like, because I was happy. And I was like, oh, because being smart and having the sense of justice, it makes you feel bad. It makes Bruce Wayne feels bad all the time.
Yes.
And Bizarro Batman can't deal with that. And then also like the really cool stuff in here where Robin is the one who figures out, but he's also like, check this out, guys. I got this figured out. And they're like, well, there's also this problem. He's like, I got you there too. It's the bubble gum. And
which
whatever, it's a
we thought
big,
was a fun joke in the last issue, but
yeah,
turned out to be the solution to the problem.
which is a beautiful structure.
Listen, Mark Waid's listen, Josh. I don't know if you realize he's a good writer. And
It's like they kept him away from DC for years, and he came
he
back.
had all
and
these
he's
stories
like,
they were building up. It was just, they were just building up in his head.
They were
like
good.
they were like Tetris pieces that kept falling, and they never got to go anywhere. He's just pulling them out now.
Yeah.
And like you said, we said this in the last issue for 42. I don't like bizarre stories, but this is probably the best bizarre story you could possibly write outside of All-Star Superman. So
I found myself,
good,
other than
great.
what you just said, to look at it and go, well, I think on the last one, I was like, oh, we're still in Bizarro. And then I was like, I enjoyed it. So when I got to this one, I was like, all right, we still got this Bizarro story. I'm fine. Now, add a couple more issues. I don't know how I'm feeling, but
3 was the right number.
This was great. Like, this could have been a pick of the week. I really enjoyed it.
Normally you don't notice the art change, and I do, but I didn't realize that it was 2 artists, Adrian Gutierrez and Sean Isaacs, and very different styles. But they made it so I didn't notice. And I still miss Dan Moore on the book. But I wish that they would have an artist who has a very singular vision of, because when you start getting into multiple artists now, it's like the book looked a certain way for so long, and now it's like it just feels different. But that's fine. That's my own cross to bear. 43 issues is nothing to sneeze at these days. I'm really surprised certainly not started over number 1.
And I think that at least I can say, like, this art was good. It was interesting. It was of a type. It doesn't look like Dan Mora, but the book doesn't feel radically different. And it's not like they put like low rate workaday guys on this, which we see sometimes. So
it's definitely dynamic,
interesting artists. Yeah.
The last page specifically, I don't think I've ever seen either, which is like a low angle with Batman's foot in the foreground, which is interesting. But
oh yeah, look at that.
So next month is Supergirl and Robin's second date, which we'll get into next time, but I have thoughts even before that happens. So the big release this week, which did not come out. Let's talk about the saga of Marvel /DC : Deadpool /Batman #1.
Look at that mess.
So this is the first DC Marvel crossover in a long time, because the old DC regime hated the Marvel regime and vice versa. And so they didn't do anything other than that. George Perez, they reprinted the George Perez book for his sake, but there hasn't been a proper real crossover in a long time. So this is a big deal. And then we all found out that it wasn't going to be available digitally for some reason. I assume it's because for whatever their agreement is, their publishing agreement. And so when we get to the patron pick, we'll find out that if you're not a patron, you don't know that one of the conditions of patron pick is it has to be available digitally, because the voting ends mere hours before we record, so we have to be able to download it and read it quickly. And so this was the winner that didn't get to be patron pick because it wasn't available digitally. So I actually went to the comic store and got it. That's how much I was interested in what was going to happen in this first Marvel DC crossover in forever. I actually went to the comic store, picked it up, and this was incredibly fun. I loved this. This was very successful. It has a main story from Zeb Wells, Greg Capullo, Tim Townsend, Alex Sinclair, and Clayton Cowles. That's the Batman Deadpool crossover team up, in which someone has hired Deadpool to, subdue Batman. And so when he it's a Deadpool story. He goes to Bruce Wayne and decides, since he's in Gotham, he might as well see if any billionaires need anyone assassinated. And so he goes to Bruce Wayne and says, "Do you need anybody killed?" He's like, "I'm not that kind of billionaire." He's like, "Are you sure?" And then he goes off, and he ends up. I think Batman's super cool and decides he's not going to kill him, because first he thinks it's a joke. Batman must be a dumb motif, and then he sees him and he goes, "Nah, you're really awesome. I don't want to kill you." And turns out that the Joker hired him, and so then they go fight the Joker. It was a really fun story. I also love the fact that whenever they add a new costume, a new sort of idiosyncratic costume, like the one that they did in Batman #1, other artists just can't draw it. They just can't. It ends up just looking like regular Batman. So you can see this is supposed to be the new Batman costume. He's got that weird belt. But he ends up just looking like regular Batman. They even color him really dark. Like in the Batman book, he had a very light blue on.
Yeah.
In here, he's incredibly dark blue. And so it's just funny because they just don't know what to do. But then this was completely unexpected. After I don't know, half the book is the Deadpool Batman story. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 short stories featuring other characters. And so there's a Chip Zdarsky, Terry Dodson, Captain America, Wonder Woman story, which was awesome, in which they kind of fall in love from first meeting in World War II, fighting Hitler, literally Hitler.
He's very Steve Trevor-y.
He is the stand-in for Steve Trevor. He's Steve Rogers.
Yeah.
And so then we see them throughout the years. We see Cap coming back out of the ice, but also Wonder Woman and Superman are there. And then we see fighting Galactus, but Wonder Woman and Starfire and Green Lantern are helping the Fantastic Four. And then we see Crisis on Infinite Earths, but also Hulk and Storm and Captain America. Like it's that DC Marvel thing where in these books they've always been together somehow. Like there's never. And
Dodson is that's a treat.
And we see him in the future with Batman's daughter, who looks like Carrie from The Dark Knight Returns, and old Steve, and then we see kind of like in Lord of the Rings where old Steve finally dies with his young Diana. Like it was like an awesome love story between Captain America and Wonder Woman. When it was over, I was like, "This is the pairing I never knew I wanted." And this is we always talked about how Captain America and Superman are the two people that are analogous across the aisles, but it kind of might be Wonder Woman.
I can see that.
That was great.
The star
ends up with the shield at the end. Like it was awesome. And then there was a story with Crypto and apparently some character named Jeff who's a shark I don't know anything about. So
that's Kelly Thompson.
Yeah, it was.
There's Jeff comics all the time.
Right, but I don't know. I don't read about anything about it. So, but
it looked good. Be a big deal.
It was Jeff and Crypto playing like volleyball. It was fine. I didn't care. So not surprising, kind of surprising. A Green Arrow Daredevil team up by Kevin Smith, who wrote both those characters in the early 2000s. Adam Kubert looked great, colored by Frank Martin. I think Frank Martin's at colorings, and Adam Kubert was awesome. Really fun. I actually really enjoyed it. At one point, when they first meet, Daredevil calls him Hawkeye with a question mark, and that was funny. And I thought that was a really good story. And they count Vertigo as the villain, and it fucks up with Daredevil's radar sense. So then Green Arrow has to use Jack Murdoch's boxing glove from the museum to knock him out. Like it was just a really nice short. And then kind of surprising since I'm not a big fan, Al Ewing, a story about Rocket Raccoon and Hal Jordan switching teams because the Guardians of the Galaxy and the Guardians of the Universe switch. They have to do some sort of employee swap, and it lasts about 3 days before Rocket kills Sinestro. And he goes gambling with Green Arrow, and he just makes a mess of everything. And then Hal Jordan had become Parallax in the meantime. Like it was just funny. And then this, it is what it is. Frank Miller, written and drawn, Batman from Dark Knight Returns, and Old Man Logan story, which was is what it is. And then
the Ryans
they added a new amalgam character. This is Logo, the combination of Lobo and Wolverine.
I'm out.
And it was just 3 pages. It was just 3 dumb pages. I loved reading this. This was incredibly fun. There's another one coming out, a Grant Morrison, Dan Mora version coming out next month. And so I will be back at the comic store for that one. I just love these. I've always loved these Marvel DC crossovers, going back to when I first read Spider-Man, Superman when I was a kid. And I'm glad they're at a place now where they can play nice with each other, because there's no downside to these kind of things. They're just fun for everybody who reads them.
Unless you're the lawyer. If you are the legal department,
unless you got to do the contracts, that's annoying.
This is a shit show.
There's got to be why they're not available digitally. And actually, it's been a long time since I've read a paper single issue.
Does DC publish the next? Like, this is Marvel.
This was the Marvel one, and DC publishes the Grant Morrison.
The next one. Okay.
Funny story for you. So, I've been reading comics on this iPad for 15 years or however long it's been.
Yeah.
And I finally had time around 3:00 this afternoon to read this issue before the show. And I'm in my office. All these show lights are not on. But the lights coming in, the sunlight's coming in through the shades, but I had the shades down. I sat on the couch. I opened it up, and I went, nope. I got up. I had to turn the lights on. I'm so used to the backlight. But this first page was so dark.
That's the first sign, bitch.
I literally went, oh, fuck.
Yep, that's what it's like. Because at first you're like, what's going on here? This is weird. Oh, no.
I mean, backlit, I could read all day, but it was just too dark. Like
Also,
the
if you can't
captions
read
had
something, you go
dark
like
backgrounds.
this.
Yeah.
At any point while reading that, did you go like this? Did you swipe it?
Why don't this?
Did you try to
It's like
pinch grow a?
it's like when kids go
panel?
up the TVs and try to pinch them. Yeah.
Mhm.
It was interesting. I thought this was fun. I mean, I know you don't live anywhere near a comic store now, but it was worth the read, and especially the unexpected fun backstories. And so I'm hoping, I assume the next volume will have, or the next issue will have similar backups. And good job on everybody involved. I liked
Wow,
it.
I'm glad you enjoyed that much.
I had a good time. So I'm gonna go get my eyes tested. Take a quick break. We'll be right back. All right, let's talk about Runaways. Number 4, I think 5 is the final. Yeah, put those glasses on. 5 is the final issue, or 6. I don't remember if it's a 5 or
So the next one, I believe, is the
yeah,
is
I think 5.
you know what? Classic us, right
Classic
there.
us. That's classic us, John.
Jamokian calendar, Jamokian publishing calendar. This is just a fucking delight. I really, it's given me all the stuff that I want, and there was totally a reason I wanted to talk about it, and I don't remember what it is other than I don't want it to be over. I thought you now got all the characters together.
Well, this was the issue where they all were together. All the characters were together.
And it really is a case of put all these people in a room and watch them hang out. And some people are really, really good at that. Bendis made his bones on that. Rainbow Rowell's so good at it. And there's bits in here and lines where I was like, God, that's so clever. And it's funny. And then the ending is that the Doombot, he leaves them a note and he takes off because he thinks that the best thing that he can do is, to take care of them is to not be there. And it's just that character being so ridiculous and then turning it into something so sweet and caring, that they all came to care about. I just really enjoyed, and all the conflicts that are existing between them are real and interesting. We've talked about other books where I think the Justice Society books where all the characters hate each other and you're like, I don't want to watch these people fight, but this isn't the same thing.
Well, this is a family and they're teenagers and they've all hooked up with each other, and so there's a lot of tension. I laugh. So one of the subplots is Nico can do magic without the staff now, but she doesn't know how, and so she's been like half the issue is her trying to do it. She figures out that she's got to hold Gert's hand to do it, and she magics up a table full of food, and I laughed when the dinosaur's reaction to it. She's, oh.
I don't think I saw that. That's great.
He just because in the first panel it's just his tail, so he clearly whipped around. And he was just, and then he would have eaten all that food immediately. And
then like there's a little bit where she does the thing like give her purple hair, and she does, and she's like, oh, this is permanent and whatever. That doesn't come back until later, until Chase shows up and they're arguing. He just goes, what'd you do to your hair? Whatever I want. Like it's just this tiny little callback that's just again awesome.
He's a dick. Are their exes?
Yeah, but I think that
she's now with that other dude. She's with the
but he's an older version and she's the younger version. I think I've lost track.
She's with the guy with the anime hair.
Yeah, but the difference is that like he had been with her like when they aged in the future, and then he's come back and she's still a teenager and he's not, so he can't be with her, which is a problem.
Right.
And he's obviously trying to, he was the fuck up, of the group, and now he's the oldest one, so he's sort of trying to be mature, and he kind of is, but he's kind of not, where he's trying to keep the girl off of Click Clock.
I hate that. Do that.
I just love that they can't make up their mind.
No, it's different every time.
Call these things by,
There was a comic where they literally said just TikTok, and I was like,
right,
can you do that?
Yeah,
it's funny for me to read it because I know the characters from originally reading the book, and then I didn't read Rainbow's first run on it, and I probably didn't read the previous runs on it either. I think I dropped off with Brian K. Vaughan or maybe Terry Moore, but which is like 20 years ago. So then like when what's the blonde girl's name?
Carolina. When
she runs in the house and immediately kisses Nico, I was like, what? Like it was just reading the book. I was just like, because I don't know the intricacies of all the interpersonal stuff, and so I'm just like, it's fun for me to be just like, what? Like now what? Because it's almost like you're still hanging out with your college friends. who've all dated each other at one point. But you're all still hanging out together, and so there's all this, there's underlying drama and or attraction and or history, and so
that
that's
scene
fun.
is sweet because when they kissed, like I missed you, and then they just drew in like a little bit of tears coming out of both their eyes.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, that's I don't know. It's just a ton of heart in this, and also I think for a book that was really just people in a room talking and arguing with each other, like nothing really happened. A lot happened, and it was compelling. So,
to be fair to Chase, I mean, if you are on the run from Dr. Doom and his Doombots, you shouldn't be on TikTok posting.
He's 1,000% correct about all of those things. She shouldn't be on there. She's too young.
Well, she shouldn't be on there at all, but she definitely shouldn't be posting while on the run from the Doombots.
Yeah, like she doesn't even know her location tagging off. Come on. As soon as they said that, I was like, this isn't gonna last. And that was literally the thing that brought them in, which is fair. Let's move along to EC Catacomb of Torment number 3. I don't normally get these EC anthology stories on the main show because there's not a lot to say. And when I started this one up, I looked at the names and I said, okay, Ryan Haddock, Sammy Cavella, Joanne Storer. I don't know who any of these people are. I think this is the best issue of one of these I've read. I think
Christopher Mitten is
Christopher Mitten,
Francesco Segala,
right. Yeah, like artist, but that doesn't necessarily mean.
But no one, I don't recognize anyone else's name other than Sabrina.
But even Christopher Mitten did a couple of great stories that I remember from 20 years ago. It's not like I just recognize the name.
Sure.
And I don't really want to go through the whole thing, but like all three, I can't tell what this book is. I don't remember. Like one of them.
This is like the horror one. There's a sci-fi one. There's a horror one.
But Epitaph from the Abyss was also a horror one. So I don't know that it matters. But then there was like a medieval fantasy kind of one. Like the first story is this weird Twilight Zone hotel story. Honestly, I don't have time to explain it, and I don't want to. It was so good though. I was like, I don't know what I'm reading, and then they kind of did the reveal, and I was like, oh man. You're doing that in 7 pages. Then there's another story that's called Intrusive Thoughts, and it's all about a new mother, and she keeps thinking horrible things. And then, again, what it does after she talks to her. Actually, I think there's therapy in all these. It was a great sort of schlocky horror turnaround in a way. And then finally, there's a story about couples therapy and this couple who just can't stop fucking arguing, and then they get a comeuppance. Because that's what happens in these stories. It was great. I really enjoyed this one. If you have been thinking about it, or you're like, I don't know, I don't want to read one good story and one not. I thought these were really strong.
All right, so we're gonna take a quick break. No, we're not. We're gonna stay here.
No,
we're staying with you.
Do it.
Sorry.
Do it.
Normally you do this. Normally you do this part, so I'm doing it. iFanboy is a listener-supported show. As you see, we're becoming rapidly aged, and we could use all the support we can get. And so the main way to do that is at patreon.com/iFanboy. That's where people support the show directly. And by doing so, they become part of a great community in Discord and Facebook. Josh and I are on the Discord server almost every day. That's where people get questions answered. That's where people find out about eligibility of patron picks, sometimes rightly, sometimes wrongly. People who are patrons can vote for the patron pick. So you get to add a book to the rundown. You get some say in the matter. You get a patron power live on the show if you give it the $5 or higher level. You get to join the monthly patron hangout, which we just did a couple weeks ago. We recorded the Media Explode live on that one. At the $10 or higher level, you get an ad-free version of all of our shows. Plus, you get the Pick the Week show, this very show, a day early on Saturday. Plus, you get access to the iFanboy after show on Sundays, where we talk about all the books we didn't talk about on this show. It's a lot. It's a good value for $10 a month. I mean, we did one after show that was 30 minutes long. We didn't want to. There was like 25 books to talk about. But that just means you get a whole extra 50% of the show just for being a $10 a month patron. There's a discount. You sign up for 1 full year, and you can send or receive a gift membership. Go to patreon.com/iFanboy/gift for more info.
About that after show, by the way, we don't promise it's any good. And I'm gonna
it's usually a lot of griping because of the books we didn't want to talk about.
And like, what happened
in this book? Why did I talk about? There's usually a reason why it's not on the main show, and it's because there's not a lot to say about it. But we try to make it entertaining. iFanboy.threadless.com is our merch store. We have 23 designs on t-shirts and more. You can get them on mugs. You can get them on bath mats. You can get them on skateboard decks. Stickers. There's some fun sticker action. I bought some stickers. The Nothing Makes Us Something Matter sticker. Then I did it 23 minutes ago. Is that right? Am I losing my brain?
35 minutes ago.
35 minutes ago. I don't know what's happening. There's a lot there. You can check it out at iFanboy.threadless.com. Great designs. We got a new design and they're all available.
Tire tracks on dead dog's stomach. This
That's
city
not
is an
one of them.
abattoir.
Not one of them. iFanboy.com/support is our digital PayPal tip jar. If you don't want to become a patron, you don't want to buy a t-shirt, but you are an insane, eccentric billionaire or even centimillionaire, and you think it'd be funny to give a random podcast a lot of money, that's where you do it. And we deal with the consequences and the fallout of the taxes and all that stuff. It'd be fun. It would be very funny. You could tell your
and
friends.
like the people who would be like, "Oh, you're part of that class now," and we'd be like, "Yes, I am."
But also think about it. When you go to your
you
end
you
of
never
the
wore
year
a
billionaire
monocle
meeting
before.
on the island where you hunt human beings and do whatever else you do, and you'd be like, who wins the prize for dumbest expenditure? It'd be like, I gave these two idiots $150 million in PayPal. And they were like, "Oh shit, that you win. You get to be you get all of your peers will slap you on the back and say bully."
I actually had to call the head of PayPal to be like, "I need you to let me send more money through, or this joke's not going to work."
And he's here, and so he let me do it.
Yeah.
Fanboy.com/Amazon is a general shopping link. That's anyone who wants to shop on Amazon, you can do it through that link. It doesn't take any money out of your pocket. It takes money out of Amazon's pocket because it does. And we thank you very much for that. Finally, bookshop.org is our partner for supporting local bookstores. If you want to buy a graphic novel, trade paperback, we put links on our Booksplode shows, and you can do it there. I always make sure to try to buy from there when I'm buying my books because it means a local bookstore is going to fulfill the order and they could use all the help they can get. And we do appreciate all the help everyone gets us because, again, we are listener supported and viewer supported now. And so we appreciate everyone who does so. Let's move on to Yojo, G.I. Joe number 11. We haven't talked about this book in a while on the show, but here we are. We're back.
Yeah, this is the last of the 3-part Baroness and CoverGirl versus Major Blood story arc. And I just thought,
I forgot what happened to this book. Oh shit, yeah.
Oh yeah, no, Major Blood got majorly blooded. I enjoyed this little arc.
Yeah,
and I think that one of the things that worked about it is, we are all kind of expecting Baroness to show her quote unquote true colors. But this is doing the opposite by having her not do that. And at one point, she's just like, "And I am a Joe too."
That was a terrible Baroness.
It was. I wasn't planning to, and then I was in the middle of it. Like, could you do that? And I was like, "No, I'm not there."
It wasn't a great voice on the cartoon. If I'm being fair, it wasn't a great voice in the cartoon.
Is it the same voice as Magica McDuck? Because I think it was.
I am Baroness. That's terrible. I can't even think about it in my head. I just noticed in the little box in the corner there's a Transformer head.
Yeah.
I also like to point out that at this time of the year, at this point of the show, my computer goes from light mode to dark mode, and every single time I think the computer is dying or something has happened or I'm having a stroke. Every single time, and it just happened, and I freaked out for one. So
change that setting.
It's just one day a week where it's a problem.
Okay.
So what I like is we had CoverGirl in the past. This would have been Scarlet and Baroness. So we got a character who, even in the original books, certainly in the cartoons, never really got any.
Yeah, no, I don't know a thing about her.
And other than she was a model. She was a model, and they gave her a suburban mom haircut on the toy. But so she gets the spotlight here. She was awesome. Speaking of which, what the fuck are we ever going to go back to Scarlet? Are we going to ever go back? Like we had her miniseries, which was great. We loved it.
Yeah.
But we haven't seen her since.
Well, we're only 11 issues in, and they haven't done any of those other minis in a while. So
here's why I'm asking. Because in addition to Risk, the dumb new character, we're getting another new character called Shooter. There are 400 G.I. Joes. We don't need new characters.
I thought maybe that was like a character who was like a later era G.I. Joe that I didn't know about.
Let me see.
By the way, Shooter, that's a Wave 1 name. That's not a Wave 2025.
It's either Wave 1 or Wave the End, where they had no more.
What I did want to say though is that I call this the Baroness arc, which it is, but the other part of the story that happens in the first part of this is Breaker. It is Breaker, or is it Clutch?
I think it's Clutch.
It's Clutch. Clutch and Hound, I think, is the Transformer. They're having adventures, And the last issue we ended with like Hound coming out. It's not Hound, is it?
The Transformer, I think, is Hound.
He's an army jeep. He's coming out of the shadows behind the Cobra guys who don't know what's going to happen. It was like, ooh, menacing. And we pick up exactly at that point, and he beats them because he's a giant robot with lasers. And I thought that scene was really fun. And also I was like, okay, I'm a little bit enjoying Risk now. He was having the adventure. He was doing the thing. He
Here
kept the
is
secret.
Shooter is not a new character, technically. She was created in 2006 during the Devil's Due run, which I don't count. She's not. If you took the original Marvel Joes, there are 4,000 G.I. Joes, and they are racially and ethnically diverse. We don't need any new ones. That being said, she technically is not a new character, so I have to allow it.
And I can see I'm saying I understand why Josh Williamson did that. I can see him going, I'm going to pick this character and make something out of them. I can see
it's just that we have so many classic Joes we haven't even seen, and that to have Risk taken up room is an affront to my sensibilities. And now we got. I mean, because I guess none of this matters, but because this is not, I was going to say the real G.I. Joe, and I'm insane. When Major Blood got his other eye stabbed out, I literally did yelp because I didn't expect it. So now he's got no eyes. He's got no eyes. He's got to have 2 patches. I did that once for a weekend when I had an eye thing, and it was horrifying.
I would say so. But I think what's cool about this is that I was about to say, oh, this isn't the main book there because this is the Energon version of it, and anything can happen. And then I actually remembered in the main G.I. Joe book, anything can happen.
It has.
No, I mean, like, no one's safe in that book either. It is not like a superhero comic book where it resets to 1. Like, it doesn't reset to 1. Shit happens to Snake Eyes, and it's like that for 30 years.
Right, but then he gets cloned back to 0. So, like he's an X-Men on Krakoa. Great cover. I love the red. The yellow pops. But then if you look at it, like, it's actually really awesome in terms of foreshadowing action in a reverse way.
Yeah.
That's really cool. It's a good cover.
Also, it's a little bit of a swastika. It's like I can see it for a second, and then I'm
all
like,
right.
no.
Yeah, I mean,
just the corner.
Throw cold water on the phone.
I don't mean that in a bad way. I don't think they're signaling something. Although he's the bad guy.
This was good. And also, you had Destro and Cobra Commander sort of coming to, accord a little bit, and then, I kind of like that. Is it General Hawk?
No, that's
Is it, or is it Flag?
It's Flag.
No, it's Hawk. It says Hawk on his desk. It says Hawk right here.
I'm not okay with that then.
He's kind of the bad guy. Not in a Cobra way, but in a he doesn't trust the Joes. He had a secret strike force of Beachhead, Lady J, and Flint ready to take out Baroness if need be.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's fair.
He gets the job done, but he's also he's not fully behind the team.
I think Flag actually was. I don't remember. There's so many G.I. Joes in stories.
It says Hawk on his desk. What does he say is going on to the people in the tubes? I don't know.
Huh?
And because Cobra Commander's growing people in tubes, and Destro's like, what's going on with the tube dudes?
Oh, yeah, but all that's related to the law folks, so I'm trying to just skate on past it. By the way, Hawk's name? Clayton Abernathy. Let's move along.
Okay. I wanted to mention Uncle Scrooge, Earth's Mightiest Duck #2. This is the second of the Jason Aaron. Gets to do whatever he wants with Uncle Scrooge. It does an awesome job. And I wanted to mention for 2 reasons. One, I just think in general it's great that these characters are still being done in comics. Modern readers may not realize how important the Ducks characters were in the pantheon of books, and how important Carl Barks and how one of the greatest comic creators of all time, worked on these books. So I'm just glad these are books I read as kids and loved them. I'm just happy that and even for this moment, the Ducks are still being published by Marvel Comics, and that's awesome. But two,
it tells you when you look at the lineup of names there, just that they got for artists, and the fact that those folks all, you were saying before, like I normally notice the art change. I really know, like they're all drawing in Duck style to the best of their abilities. So
Esad Ribic was a little weird, but I liked it.
A little, but still,
it wasn't like Duck style. It was like Esad Ribic Duck style, and I liked it. It was strange, but you got Esad Ribic, got Pete Woods, you got Nick Bradshaw, Mirka and Dolfo and Ariel, and Indito.
And indeed, I don't know that name, but I knew the rest of them.
Yep.
And to me, like that just says like these artists, they know what's up. They've studied the Barks,
and they're subsuming their own ego.
Yes, that's what I was getting at.
Yeah, it was great, but I thought the story was really compelling because the whole story is that and you have to take in mind this is silliness. These alien robots that are coin operated need Uncle Scrooge's fortune because he's got a lot of coins. And so he hid the fortune in the first issue, and they've gone into his mind to try to find out where he hid it. And so in his mind, he has gathered together versions of himself throughout his life. But also kind of becomes kind of a metaphor for like Alzheimer's and dementia because they're taking away his memories, and so he's forgetting parts of his life. And then the one part that he gets to hear is the love of his life from the Klondike days. Her name has escaped me at this very moment, but she's always been Goldie's been in the books all the time. She's his great regret, his great love. And they go to erase her, and that's when he gets really, angry. I thought it was a really good story. I thought it was a really well done story. I just love that this is happening. I love it wasn't just a one shot that they're actually doing it. And Jason Aaron's doing a great job with this.
Yep. No, it is fun, and it's like clearly he's read a lot of Ducks comics because these are, they're all over the place, and you're like, well, wait, it doesn't make sense that there's a medieval duck, and it's like, it does make sense if you want it to, and I'm cool with that. Yeah,
those are the books we're going to talk about, but at patreon.com/iFanboy, as I mentioned earlier, every patron gets a vote to add a book to the rundown, and this week the winner technically was the Deadpool Batman, but it was disqualified. The winner after that was No Man's Land, #1 from Image Comics and One Man Art Comics, written and drawn by Szymon Kudranski, translated by Adam Morwell, at least translation assistants, and DC Hopkins on letters. So Szymon Kudranski is a writer artist who's done a lot of stuff. I was excited for this because it's a crime book, at least for now. There's a slight indication there might be more, but for right now, it's a crime book. And it's not a new premise, but it's a good premise. It's there was a TV show called The Bridge with the same premise I think it was a Norwegian show, and then they made it here in America. FX made it. It was a body, and the US version was a body in a bridge between El Paso and Mexico, and it was like right in the middle, so it was in both jurisdictions. So a Mexican detective and a US detective that team up to solve the murder. Here, it's a body has been found on the ice land bridge that happens for a few weeks every year between Alaska and Russia, and so the U.S. sends an FBI agent who was about to retire up to figure out who killed this person, and the assumption being there's going to be a KGB agent who shows up as well. This takes place in the 60s. I think it's 62. It's right after the Cuban Missile Crisis. The problem was that, and this happens quite a bit with translated books, the dialogue was really stiff. The writing was really, really stilted. I've got a Johnny Cash graphic novel that was French. That same thing, same problem. If you don't have a really, really great translator who can take the writing from one language and convert it to another language, but also in a artistic way, then you end up with this kind of writing, which is very sort of stilted. And so that made it kind of less enjoyable for me.
I'm not fully willing to lay the blame on just the translation, I think. So here's my backstory on this is that I put this on my list as I had confused it, the title with the pick of the week, which is Good is Dead, whereas this is No Man's Land. In my mind, those are very similar. I don't know how to explain it. They're 3 short words and image and the number ones, whatever. And I opened this and started to read it, and I was like, what is this? I don't want this. And I read a few pages, and I hit that wall of dialogue. And to me, it just read, like you said, like it was very textbooky, and therefore it was very like cliche. But I was like, there's too many words that don't need to be here. And all of the, it was his last day. He's getting too old for this shit, but they pulled him back in. And I just I struggled to find anything particularly unique about the voice that was going on here. And I think that I'm sure that this creator has a style that has a following, but I just didn't really do anything for me. And like I had to think really hard about why I didn't like it, because there was a lot of things that I should like. but like at the end of the day, it just felt like a a mid-grade movie that's trying to do this story but isn't good enough to do it in a compelling way.
It was a great
Um,
premise. It's just that the
yes.
execution wasn't great. There, like even though there's a bit in the middle where he's literally about to retire. He's handing in his resignation
Mhm.
letter, and they don't let him. And so they're sending him to Alaska instead. And he said he goes home and tells his wife, and she's all mad that he's not retiring. And then she divorces him.
Which is stupid.
Like she divorced him yesterday. She just gives him the papers. Like, well, then what are you mad? What do you care if he's retiring or not retiring? You're leaving.
Right.
So like that whole building
That's
up
what I'm
the
saying.
conflict,
Like,
and then it didn't. It was like, why did you do that if you're
it,
literally a panel later saying, well, actually, I've already divorced you. Here's papers.
it wasn't paced well. There was too much explaining. There was nothing particularly interesting about the main character. It was,
Right.
just a lot of cliches and archetypes that, here's the mysterious general in the room. And I
Who
just
shouldn't be wearing his hat. He's indoors. He would have taken it off.
there wasn't any humanity to it, basically.
Yeah.
It was a lot of things that looked and sounded cool, but it had no artistry, I think.
And I went back and forth on the art. I think he definitely has a style that's very unique. It's all done. This is all done like gray tones, black and white, which is cool. And I think there's something compelling about the way he draws people. But
yeah,
then some of it was very stiff and stuff like the clothing didn't look like clothing that everyone's sort of ill-fitting clothes and wrinkly clothes, and it just didn't felt off. But then there were pages I really liked. So I went back and forth on the art. I liked the premise. The art was interesting, but the execution of the writing wasn't great. So I ultimately didn't really love it that much. And then at the end, they have all these newspaper clippings that seem to indicate some sort of monster that's responsible, which is not something I'm cared about. Well, if you look at all the headlines, it's all like you can't see it, but the Walker of that's because that's the wrong page. There's all these headlines like the Walker of the Icebridge Walker or something like that, or the it's just I'm looking for one of them. I don't know.
It just
anyway, Icebridge Walker hasn't returned. I don't know. Whatever.
I'm not gonna it didn't. There wasn't anything that I was like, oh, this shouldn't be like this. This is wrong or whatever. But there was no spark. There was no whatever the magic is. It was very sort of by the numbers, in a way that didn't feel creative, that had a voice that was compelling.
Right. So I don't think there's much more to say about it. I think I'm going to jump into the ratings and say out of 5 stars, I'm going to give it 2.5.
That's exactly what I was going to say, 2.5.
And would you have read it if it wasn't the patron pick? I did. Josh didn't.
I started to.
On it. You started.
Yeah. I gave it a shot, but a few pages in, I was like, I know what this is going to be. And it was a little better than I thought it was going to be. But it was still a tough road to hoe.
And then sticking with it, I don't think so.
I'm not going to.
I don't think so. If it comes out in a week where like nothing else is out, maybe, but I didn't hate it, but I didn't really enjoy it. It's a killer premise, but just not a killer execution, which is a bummer. So there you go. Patreon.com/iFanboy. Every patron gets a vote to add a book to the rundown. But if you give a $5 or higher level of this patron, you get superpower live on the show. It's bestowed to you in this fashion.
I'm opening my note, which is giving me trouble. There
Mark
we go.
Bell is the patron we're giving a patron power to. Is ready.
Mark Bell has the ability to transform anyone he so chooses into a person who embodies their perfect style. So he can point over at you and you will be wearing the clothes and sporting the haircut that is really what you had that suits you best. That was the thing that you had in mind all along that you could never quite visualize.
Okay.
He brings out your perfect vision of yourself in terms of style.
So if you're a person you're like, I don't even know what to do, I don't know what clothes to buy, what do I do with my hair? He just goes, bam.
Yep, and he brings you there. And that is very empowering. You get a sense of, I am finally who I feel like I should be.
Or maybe you're someone who
Especially,
has made all the wrong choices, but you think it looks great. And everyone you know is like, this is not working. What is
that's
Bob
true.
doing with his hair? And you get Mark to come, and you're like, Mark, go blast
Right.
Bob,
And it's
boom.
not a glamour up. It's not
No,
that.
not a glow up.
Or a oh man, you ruined my joke. I had
Sorry.
air quotes in the air to say glow up because it sounds stupid.
Well, I'd
coming
never
from
heard
me.
glamour up before, so I thought you were just saying the wrong word.
No, I
You
use
made it
words.
up. That's just what you made it up.
I do. I'm vamping here.
I see.
But it's the thing that works perfectly for you. And say for example, that you are a man of nearly 50. And when you go to buy clothes, there's either children's clothes or golf clothes. That's what they sell for you at this age.
Do they not sell button-down shirts where you live?
I have no need for that.
Well, that's what adults wear.
Yeah, but it doesn't feel comfortable to me. It's not the right thing for me.
Right, so it's not a clothes problem, it's a you problem.
No, I don't like any of the clothes.
Right, it's you problem.
I know, but like just a button-down shirts, what fucking I don't need that necessarily. That's not what I want to do. I don't need that. I don't know what I want, but I can't find it anymore because it's either or, and it's either boring or I'm trying to look like a young person or I'm trying to look like an old person. I want to be outside of those things. But it's not just that. This can help anybody, and it's a power that he can bestow on people like a King Midas.
I think that's a good power. I think he would make a lot of money as a stylist. Do you get clothes? Does the clothes appear in your closet?
I believe that you're wearing them, but also then you
is all your wardrobe swapped out? Like if I open my closet, I got new pants.
I got to tell you, that seems like too much, but the whole thing falls apart if that isn't what happens.
Right.
So yeah, but also you are then given the ability to be able to choose those things going forward too, because you understand.
At least you know what to choose. You're in the ballpark. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great power, Mark. Patreon.com/iFanboy. Enjoy it. I'm sure your friends and family will. Let's do one quick email. Because we're already running along.
I thought the second one would be.
That's what I was going for. You can read it when I pop it up. There we go.
Now, Django B, and I did not know that we had a Django listener.
Yeah,
and by the way,
he's been around a while.
You don't need the initial. Like you could just be Django. You could be mononomial? Yeah. And Django asks, and thanks to Jamie Foxx, we all know how to pronounce it, unless you're a guitar player and you already knew about Django Reinhardt. Either way, have you guys ever recorded an entire episode of the Pick of the Week podcast? Thank you for saying that. For any reasons, re-recorded it. And if so, do you think it was better or worse, smoother or harder on the second try? We have a podcast that has to be recorded for more than one reason.
His podcast has had to be re-recorded for more than one reason.
Okay.
You skipped the a couple times. So have you guys ever re-recorded an entire episode?
Oh, I said it badly the first time, but I did read it. But the second time I didn't. Anyway, yes,
but not in a long time.
Not in a long time. You'll probably remember the detail. You'll definitely remember details better than I would have. In the old days of Skype.
Well,
which is
back it way up. So we were one of the first comics podcasts, which means we were essentially one of the first podcasts. There were other podcasts, but like if you take them in aggregate, so there wasn't dedicated software. You had to cobble. If you weren't doing it in person, like Comic Geek Speak or around comics, you had to cobble together programs that were meant for other things, and so those programs crashed a lot. And like we used Skype, and I don't even remember what we used to record Skype. What the name of the program?
We used Audio Hijack in the later period, which I still use for stuff.
I do too.
But early on, Audiogram,
something like that.
But
the point is, one or both of those would crash, not regularly, but enough where it felt regular. Like I would say,
just short of often. Not often, but
there was even one show. I don't remember which one it was, but we recorded it 3 times. We did it once, it crashed. Yeah. Like if you did the whole show and then it crashed at the very end, it was done. You lost the entire thing. So we did the whole show once, it crashed at like the processing point. We did it again and it crashed again. And we did it a third time. And I think it was, not the worst thing that's ever happened to people in the whole world, but kind of. Like that was the attitude we had going into the third recording. It was just like no one wanted to be there anymore. no one wanted to talk to each other anymore.
That's an extreme version. We have
No,
done
that was the worst. That was the
right.
absolute worst one.
We have done things a second time, and I'm guessing the first time the first time we had to do it a second time was kind of novel. Like, because we were like, all right, how do we do this? And like, there would have been something really funny that happened in the first one that we were like, do we want to try to recreate that?
You lose the spontaneity, but what you gain kind of is you almost got a rehearsal. So what you want to say about a book is more sharp the second time because you've already said it, and you can make that better, or you can cut it down. Like, we go on this show not knowing what we're going to say, so sometimes there's rambling. If you do it a second time, you can know what you're going to say and then be more directed. But you do lose the spontaneous stuff.
And that grounding, that anchoring, lets you actually have more room to be loose.
But I would never want to do it on purpose.
No,
it was, and it's got to be at least a decade since we've had to do it. I don't remember ever having to do it since moving to California, and that was 2011. So it's got to be way more than that. I mean, it
never happened after we got off Skype, and I don't remember when that was.
I mean, now there's just reams of dedicated
Power Grom.
That doesn't seem right. That sounds like a transformer. Like we have a virtual studio. Everything's backed up. If somebody loses their thing, that's backed up to a thing. Like there's like backups to the backup now. I'm curious what Django's team uses that they have to re-record, because I can't imagine with all the redundancies in these programs now that you would need to. But I guess I can see how it could happen if like you lost power or something. I don't know.
I mean, also just depends how you do it. Maybe you're not paying for like a service, you're using Google Meet and some way to record it. That's possible. Sure. I've done that.
I guess I do host of this show. If I went down, I wonder if the whole show goes down. I don't know how that works.
I don't know.
Also just
the internet while it has given us problems, but it was a lot sketchier then.
Everything.
That's how long we've been doing this. Is that
it was a rickety system.
Voice. Yeah,
it was.
You didn't always have a great signal. The bandwidth was not nearly what you could get now.
If you go to the old shows and read the show notes, it's like, we apologize for the audio quality. The internet sucks.
Yeah,
like it just happened. You couldn't do anything about it.
Yeah, not a thing. And like you'd try to fix it, but it wouldn't do a thing. I do know that my worst example of this is that we had a special writers episode, and all of the people, like we had all of our writers on to do the show. And it was the first time it ever happened, and none of us were on it, but I was there to produce it, but I wasn't on the show. And I set it up. We used this program called Audio Hijack, which still exists and has been very modernized. It's amazing. I use it for all these different things. But at the time, you would use it to find some way to sort of like split the tracks, kind of, so that you had a little bit of flexibility. And I set it up so that I was recording them, and in my mind, and actually I think I set it up correctly so that my mic was muted because they couldn't hear me on the show, but apparently it was recording me. So as I sat there listening to the whole show, I have my guitar in my hands and I was plunking around because that's what I do. I did not know at the time that was called ADHD stimming, but here we are. And get the show done. They've all come on. There was at least 3 or 4 of them, and I go to listen to it, and I'm like, oh fuck, I can hear guitar, and I couldn't get rid of it, even though they couldn't hear me. It's just one of those, like, I had no way of knowing. So I had to have them record so they all came on to do it for the first time, and then they had to record it a second time.
The worst for me, and this is actually the perfect kind of question to send in for episode 1000. If you want us to reminisce about the history of the show, this is something we'd love to do. So if you have questions like this about the show, send them in for episode 1000. That'll be fun to do with some booze. The worst one in my memory was I guess the first time we were going to do a live video show in front of an audience at Comic-Con. We were going to do the Comic-Con show live in front of an audience. We had a spot. We told everybody to show up. A bunch of people showed up. We set up the camera and the microphones. And because it was the first time doing it in front of people, we just got, nervous and flustered, and no one hit record. So we did the whole show. We had Mike Romo at the time, who was just a listener before we'd hired him to be a writer, come on and talk. I have photographs of it, of the recording. I have photographs of him talking, and it wasn't recorded the entire time. And we finished, and then I remember going to the camera to like stop the recording and looking down and seeing it wasn't even on, and I went, oh fuck. And so then we had to go back to the room and
I know that feeling.
redo the whole show, just ourselves in the hotel room. But
Mhm.
everyone who's there got a fun live show. It's just
Yeah.
that no one else other than the 50 people who were there heard it. And it was just like, it's so embarrassing. We just like packed everything up and left, and it was like, oh shit, we have to do that ourselves again in the room.
Actually, I remember the last time, I forgot, there was a more recent one where this happened to me, and it was my nightmare scenario because it was a Talksplode. And you know, I very much value other people's time, and the idea of coming on and wasting somebody's time just like it hollows me out and it makes me feel terrible. But I invited Kelly Thompson on, and this was right at the beginning of the pandemic. And
that's right.
We had this awesome conversation, and we were between systems for whatever at the time or something. I don't know. I had to use some other way of recording it. And I didn't get my audio. I only got hers. And so I went back to listen to it, and there was all of her audio and none of mine. And like, I had to go through like, well, could you like dub in your own questions?
I suggested to Josh that he should just dub in his side, and he didn't like that. But I thought it was a good idea.
But that's not how it works, because you're.
I know, but I just thought it'd be funny, a fun exercise for you to just like
because I said. So I went back to her, and like it was a great, like we got, like I just thought like we really got along well, and it was really fun talking to each other.
Anyone who interviews anyone for a living or a partial living, it lives in fear of this happening. Of you do the interview and the equipment dies. I remember our old pal Ron. He used to have a magazine. He used to publish a magazine, and I remember one of the final issues, he went to interview an actor he really liked in like a bar in New York, and he got back and the recorder had broken, and he couldn't go back to the guy and be like, can you meet me again? And I remember he was devastated. And then I think that was the last issue he ever put out. He didn't even put out another one after that. Not because of that, it was just the timing was, he never got to redo it because there was no more magazine. But man, he was just devastated.
To Kelly's credit,
the equipment can fail.
Yeah. So to Kelly's credit, I went back and I was like, I'm really sorry, but
this has never happened to me before.
Yeah, it was like that. And then I said, you know what, instead of us, and she was game. She's like, let's do it again. But I was like, all right, let's wait a little while. So I think we put a little time into it. Maybe the pandemic started between there. I don't quite remember. And it was like, we couldn't have that same conversation again. So we had a completely different conversation, which again was great. Those two were some of my favorite shows that I ever did like that. And that was just lost. So that one was just for us, I guess. I'm assuming somewhere I have her part of the conversation.
But this show we haven't had to redo in a long time, which doesn't mean it won't ever happen again. But it hasn't happened. Thanks for writing in, Django. Contact@ifanboy.com. That's how he wrote in. We want to hear from you. Get on the show. You can write us there. Put Mightiest in the subject line if you want for the Mightiest show. We do appreciate that. And let's do some quick plugs before we talk about episode 1000. So 3 weeks ago, we had our Booksplode review of The Avengers and the Veracity Trap. That was fun. That came out there. You can watch it on YouTube as well. This past week, we had our Mightiest. We talked about The Bear Season 4, but we had about 40 minutes discussing each of our top 10 movies of all time. You can listen to that on the feed. You can also watch it on YouTube. The benefit of that is you can see all the movie titles and the cup and the posters and everything. But that was incredibly fun. We went longer than normal, and we had a good time, and we might do 11 through 20 next. Then this week, there might be a Talksplode. There might not be a Talksplode.
Oh, man.
Josh has run into every problem you could possibly run into doing Talksplode. So
it's getting harder.
If there is one, if there is one, you'll see it on the feed this coming week. If not, we'll get it to you as soon as we can.
Yeah, and actually there should be some really good ones coming up, even if it's not right this minute. He's
had scheduling issues, which happens with people when you're interviewing them. That's doing that. So, like I mentioned during the email conversation, in 5 weeks from I was gonna say from today, but in 5 weeks, Pick a Week episode 1000, we'll be streaming that live on YouTube, October 24th at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, youtube.com/ifanboy. That's when the show's going to start. We'll probably congregate before that. We'll talk about the pick of the week that week. We'll talk about the patron pick that's voted by the patrons. Then the rest of the time, we'll be answering your emails for as long as we can take it, as long as we can stand up. We have special guests. We have 10 total people on the show. So that means 8. Well, it's me, Josh, and Ryan. So 7 special guests. Or 8 special guests. I guess we're considering Ryan a special guest. 8 special guests on the show. So that'll be fun. And then, so send in your emails to contact@ifanboy.com. Put 1,000 in the subject line. Get them in quick. We've been getting a lot of them. If you want to make sure your email's in, get the faster the better. But like I said before, the email Django wrote in for the show, that's a perfect email for the show. Because if you want us to reminisce, tell stories, talk about the past of the show, talk about behind the scenes stuff, we'll answer that. If you want us to talk about life, love, relationship advice, college stories, anything you want, well, you can write it in. We
Cooking.
we won't necessarily answer, but you can write it in and ask. Please do. Contact@ifanboy.com. As we get closer, I'll set a deadline. I haven't done it yet because this show is way more complicated than the normal one, so I haven't figured out how long we're going to need to get ready for it, but it'll probably be earlier in the week than normal. So just get them in as fast as you can, otherwise you're going to miss out. We appreciate everyone who writes in. In the meantime, you can find our library of all of our shows over at ifanboy.com. There's probably close to 1,500 at this point. I'm not sure. We haven't looked in a while. You can get it there wherever podcasts are sold. Never miss a show. Find out what the pick of the week is before the show comes out by following us at iFanboy Comics on Instagram and Threads, at ifanboy.com on Blue Sky, and individually we're CS Kilpatrick and J.A. Flanagan on Instagram. And also, don't miss former iFanboy writer Jeff Reed's video deep dives into forgotten comic book minutia. He loves it. We love it. You love it. It happens every Tuesday and Friday on our social channels and on YouTube. It's actually not all of our social channels. The video is too big for some of them, but you can find it there. They're really fun. I'm always constantly amazed he's got more ideas, but they keep coming in. So there you go.
So you can find our whole library of shows, the many, many shows. Most of them had only been recorded once, but as we found out, some of them may be dupes. Those are over at ifanboy.com and wherever podcasts are sold. Do you know which episode that is?
No idea.
All right.
No idea. It was early days, though. It was early days. I can picture it. I can picture it. And it was
so it wasn't going to be good anyway.
Who knows? I mean, not super early days, but it was
right.
Relatively early days. Yeah.
You can in 2 digits. It was in the 2 digits.
Probably.
Yeah. Consider writing us a review or leaving a star rating on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever it is you listen to your podcast. If you happen to use Pocket Cast and you want to do it there, you need to be subscribed and you have to have downloaded a few episodes. That's unscientific. Before you can rate it, you can subscribe to youtube.com/iFanboy, where I was reading it and not thinking about it. So then I was like, wait, did the right word come out of my mouth? youtube.com/iFanboy, where you can watch the video version of this show as well as our special edition shows. When we did the live show last week, my son was watching and he goes, "Stop making monkey face." And I was like, "What does that mean?" He's like, "You do this." And I do. Again, stimming.
That's hard when the kid watches. Because then you got to impress him.
No, I think we're at the point now where if he thinks I'm a dork, it's just how it's going to be.
Do you think he tells his friends that you're a YouTuber?
No.
He doesn't want them to know. He doesn't want them to watch.
Nah, no, I don't know. You know what? I don't know. He seemed to like it. That he watched.
That's good.
It, so that's something.
That's the most important.
Anyway,
he still watches it. He could have stopped watching.
And you can of course find Jeff Reed's deep dives, which we just talked about, and an archive of all our old video shows from 2007 to 2012. That is again youtube.com/iFanboy. Finally, you can join us at the iFanboy After Show, which is exclusively for patrons, $10 or higher level. We're going to talk about all the books that we read this week that we didn't just talk about in the previous hour and change. In fact, more change.
VIPs. That's just for the VIPs.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Are you important enough to be part of that? Do you want to be where you are? Why not reach for the stars?
Join us in the champagne room.
That's right. There is
the iFanboy champagne room.
There is no sex in the champagne room.
No, but there's lots of griping. And
yes,
that's what people come for. All right. That's it for this week's show. My name is Connor.
I'm Josh.
See you later.